So they would hand you Mary and actually set it on fire.
And then you stab it with your fork and you're like, die, Mary.
Which sounds...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the always reliable, never late, never skipping Blue Banana podcast,
Never re-recorded.
where I definitely did for the second time have audio problems.
In a row as well. Second time in a row.
Start this all over again for a second time.
If it happens again next week, you deserve some sort of punishment.
I do agree. I would be against that. If that happened again, I would shamefully accept it.
We used to have a law in theater. It was called the slab system. If you made 3 mistakes, you would get slabbed.
Yes, you told us this in our original run of the podcast.
In our original.
What do you mean
run.
original?
Pre-time skip.
It's like the 1999 version of the 2011 the original podcast.
That was the law in theater, so that if you made a mistake, it wasn't employment jeopardizing. It was just, look, don't do that again. 2 more, slab a beer, everything's fine.
Is that what it meant? Because I had always wondered what you meant by slabbed.
So you would have to buy a case of beer, and you wouldn't get to choose which case you would buy either. The head Alex would choose.
Oh, I thought everyone got to slap you in the face.
That's what I thought
They're not
too.
slap. Whilst enjoyable, it's less productive.
I thought it was like a slab.
Slab. P. No, B.
B.
not
Yeah, I
P.
thought it was like a slab.
That's actually kind of disappointing because my image I had in my head now was that, like the sound guy would fuck up 2 times and then the third time he's like, oh no. And everyone's
Just,
like,
like, off with the
all right,
cheek."
Bruce, line. And everyone would line up and everyone would go like, punch. And it's like, oh.
No, it's just, a gesture of goodwill. I fucked up. Enjoy the evening on me, sort of thing.
All right, so Manu, 1 more week. Next week, you have to come to Australia to buy us all a case of beer.
With a slab of Asahi straight from Japan.
Gonna fly over. I'm actually going to Okinawa next week.
That's not Australia.
So I'm not that far away.
Yeah, okay.
Suppose you are closer.
That's like almost halfway there.
Incorrect.
Anyways, today we were originally going to talk about John Wick, but as I had to find out, it is not available yet in Japan and also not on Amazon Prime in Germany. So we had to skip that. And instead we had basically a 20-minute discussion over more One Piece live action.
Yes, because new things have come out.
Yes, so might as well go back and do that entire episode about live action part 2, the updates. And so basically 2 things that have come out, and one we've already kind of discussed in depth, but I'd like to discuss again, is the fact that the voice actors for the Japanese version of the live action have been confirmed to be the original anime voice actors for One Piece, which is awesome news. And also we had an announcement by some version of Netflix that the show is gonna be 18 rated.
We still have doubts about this. It is TVMA, which our Australian, German, and Japanese brains cannot quite decipher. When I looked it up, it said content that may not be suitable for people under 17, or other sources say 18, but that's TVMA, which was apparently originally called TVM. So that makes it slightly more confusing.
Well, the one that I read says TV mature, and TV mature is just children under the age of 15.
So it's 15 plus.
Yeah, that's MA mature 15 plus, which I think is a lot more understandable. I don't think they have any news on Netflix. Netflix hasn't really said anything.
They don't have the rating on it?
I don't think so, not yet.
So where did that tweet come from?
From Netflix, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But maybe that's Netflix America. Maybe it's not been rated in Australia.
All right, well, this is where we now make use of VPN, even though it didn't help Manu with his John Wick endeavors.
Do you have a special code?
Yeah, so if you use Joy Girl, that's the news to any sponsorships coming our way for Blue Banana. We are currently not sponsored by VPN.
No, we'll take literally any of them. I was about to come up with a theory before our former recording stopped for why, if it is TVMA, it could be. And I think it's because it has been confirmed by the showrunner that the Nami arm stab scene is in the show. And I think that could be considered a form of self-harm, triggering enough to warrant a higher rating for the entire show.
Ah, that makes sense.
If it's in there, and if it's true to the original, it will be pretty visceral.
Can't you rate different episodes differently? I'm pretty sure you can have different ratings for different episodes.
I know there are certain episodes of The Simpsons that had to be rated differently than other ones because they were a bit more mature.
Yeah.
So apparently there's another tweet under that tweet from like the Spanish Netflix, I guess. And so it's rated 18 there too, but for inappropriate language.
But 18 for inappropriate language does not make sense.
What are they saying? No, it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
make
can't-
sense at all.
Nah, the highest is like MA15.
Were they using the scans as scripts or what?
They were like Gomu Gomu, and they were like, nah, no Gomu Gomu here.
It's the Australian version. You fucking cunt.
I'm gonna smack that fat bitch Alvita in the face.
Come on, Luffy, give her the rubber face.
Fuck her up, Luffy.
Like, oh no, I can make myself all slippery smooth.
I cannot imagine any swearing or any like sexual innuendo in this series whatsoever. So I have no idea what the hell is going on in Spain.
We ended up there again.
But like if you've got a rating like this, you've got to explore these options. You've got to ask why, especially if Spain's going 18.
I mean, I was just very confused. Like, no matter why it will turn out to have that rating. But what I said earlier, you guys kind of convinced me in the episode we did on the trailer. You know, I was kind of hoping for this little darker Pirates of the Caribbean kind of version of it. And you were like, oh, you know what? I think it's good that it's maybe a bit goofy, not taking itself too seriously, trying to be its own thing, aimed maybe at a younger, broader audience. And I was like, okay, you know what? I can live with that. And then I saw that. I was like, wait, which one is it now?
I still think it might be that, but there are certain moments that have heightened the rating, which I think, like, if it is this TVMA, it's only going to confuse things further because people are going to go into it expecting like a more adult experience and they're going to walk into a pantomime.
As Sophie said earlier, there's like very violent movies that are just like rated 16 or something in the US. And I feel like that stabbing scene, it's gory, but it's not like you don't have to show it like gushing and in close up. And she's like,
No, and it's not like that in the
I
series
don't
either.
think it's the gore of it. I think that in this day and age that again, it is probably the self-harm element of it. The fact that Nami's in emotional distress and, you know, essentially begins cutting herself, but stabbing herself.
Do you remember the show 13 Reasons Why that was based off
Never
like a young
watched it,
adult's
but yes, I do
teenager
remember.
book? Yeah, so that one had quite a heavy focus on like self-harm. And I don't think even that was rated 18 plus. And I watched that show. It was quite intense in a lot of scenes. And I don't think they had an 18 rating.
I feel like there was some criticism for that show.
Yeah.
That apparently it was kind of glorifying self-harm or suicide in some way or form. Was that not the criticism that it had?
I could definitely understand those criticisms because I think it could have been handled in a much better way.
So apparently a bunch of the episodes were 15, but 4 of them were given an 18 rating. So it's a good example of what we were talking about before, where different episodes can be rated differently.
15 is still fairly high. I would have expected max 12, I will be honest.
For 13 Reasons Why.
No, I think it's
No,
not that
yes.
No, like TV 14 is the original. What we suspected it was is what I would have suspected because that's like PG. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, what was that?
Celebrating your statement.
Oh, I see now. Yeah, here we go. This is going to be great content for everyone who can't see this.
Yeah, we discovered the Google Meets emojis.
TV 15 is a reasonable rating because there is quite a bit of violence, and I think even when you put 15 down, in the day and age that we live in, when kids are watching Marvel, when that is also probably rated M, I don't think anyone cares about M, or like 15. 18 is where things get onto another level. Can you guys fucking stop that?
We're just interacting with you as you speak.
Yes. We're just active listeners spamming thumbs up. Oh my god.
Everyone else, they are annoying the shit out of me using these Google Meets reactions. I'm trying to do a podcast here. I'm going to thumbs up. I mean, thumbs down, thumbs down. Wow.
And now it exploded.
Yeah, if you do too many of them, they explode, I think.
That's an expression that you're really not happy with it.
All right. I mean, we'll have to wait and see on that because the information we have on the rating rating isn't reliable, and it also doesn't cross countries because most places have yet to rate it at this stage, I believe. Like, it has no rating in Australia, for example.
Does it not surprise you that it's in that range at all?
If it's the entire thing, it does surprise me.
Even 15?
Okay, so in Australia, like, the difference between M and MA, even though they both sort of stipulate 15, like, there is a massive gulf between those. If it was just like M, then that's kind of what I'm expecting, because One Piece isn't, you know, straight up PG, goofy Disney stuff. Like, it has darker elements, but like going to MA, that's when you start to get into like serious stuff.
I did not feel the trailer communicated that though.
Well, yeah, no, the trailer doesn't communicate a higher age rating at all.
As you like argued last time we talked about this, I feel like the trailer more relates the other thing. It's going to be like kind of Marvel-y, kind of like, yeah, there's going to be some action, but it's also going to be like, you know, like smart.
Just feels like a fun adventure, the trailer.
But that's my point. What is the rating for Marvel? Marvel isn't rated for like everyone who is 10 should be watching it.
Sorry, we did it on the exact same
continue.
point as well.
I'm not going to talk anymore. I give up. I give up.
Well, I suppose we can talk about the other thing, which is that there is a review of the One Piece live action in fragments, because Arthur has seen some scenes, and he posted a 16 post Reddit thread, which is, yes, coming dangerously close to exceeding my rate limit. He
Thank
has
you,
some
Elon.
very positive things to say, which Manu is skeptical over.
No. Cautiously.
Cautiously, I'm cautiously skeptical about his final conclusion, because I mean, we have to do all the what we
Yes,
said
we have
earlier,
to
but
discuss it again.
and whose fault is that? I don't know. No, I mean, Arthur is a gigantic. He's like the real, as you said earlier, the real Joy Boy, and he's
the real
so
Joy Boy.
like he's so positive and emotional. Likely involved with One Piece. It's like such a joy to hear, like, talk with him about it and see his enthusiasm for it. But as we said earlier, he was also very positive about Film Red. I think he went to go see it like 15 times.
In like 3 different countries.
Next to the fantastic music, and we went into this in a lot of detail, we had our problems with the movie. Let me pull that up again. The final conclusion that Arthur had about the live action, his first impression of all the scenes that he's got to see at Anime Expo. 16 out of 16. In the end, it mostly matters where you're coming into this from. If you're expecting it to take itself very seriously, be identical to the manga, or have impeccable CGI, you won't get it. But if you're up to embrace its One Piece soul, you're in for a real fun adventure. Which, if it was anyone else posting that, I would be, oh, that's great to hear. But since it's Arthur, knowing how much he loves One Piece and how he's even with things that get a little bit more controversially received by the audience, knowing that he's always trying to very much go for the positive take on things, which I really appreciate. I kind of read this with like tiny, like very small alarm bells going off in my head.
We should say that there is no doubt in anyone's mind that Arthur believes what he's saying, that he absolutely loved this, and he absolutely loved Film Red, and he's just an amazing, joyous person. What we're questioning is that because we have that metric of measuring what he thought about Film Red, we're now going, so if we use that same thing to determine the live action, it comes down, you know, a couple of steps on the Arthur scale.
At least for me personally. I feel like Sophie might be more closer to Arthur there.
Okay, I didn't read his whole thread, so I don't know what he said. The last post that you've just quoted, I think that is exactly how I felt about watching the teaser, is that it's not taking itself that seriously, isn't a perfect one-to-one, but it captures the heart and the soul of One Piece. And I think that was my argument. If it manages to do that, then I think I'm going to enjoy and be impressed with the show.
I agree, and I think that gives us the answer about the age rating, because if Arthur, after having seen these scenes, is saying, you know, don't take it too seriously, then it probably is more, maybe not younger, but like less mature content side of the spectrum.
Yeah, and then maybe it is, as you say, just certain episodes are just going to have to be targeted higher for that purpose.
Arthur said that one of the things that he had more of a grapple with is the CGI, and in his post he mentions that he himself doesn't think that the CGI is what's going to make or break the series, which is one of the points where I slightly differ a little bit in his opinion, because I feel like the CGI might very well make or break the series because it's basically carrying some of the most iconic moments in the story, right?
Maybe. He also says it doesn't get used all that often, although I question that because he hasn't seen the entire series, to my knowledge, just like a select preview.
I guess so, yeah.
But you're right, it is a lot of the most iconic moments of the series. Thinking about it, obviously Lord of the Coast, biting Shanks' arm off. You've got every finishing attack by Luffy, no matter who the villain is. That is CGI intensive as well.
A lot of the early villains as well, really.
Buggy
And
in
then if the show
general.
continues, even more so.
Reading his whole breakdown, maybe he has seen the entire thing, because he goes like, there's some things that have been changed from the manga, like Zoro and Nami are joining concurrently at Shelltown. Luffy first meets Usopp by the Merry, etc., etc., and yet every choice makes a lot of sense.
In the first post, he does see that he's only seen parts of it, though.
What really stood out to me about the live action is that it's really like how incredibly fun it is to simply watch it. But that doesn't sound like you're just seeing clips of it. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, but like, I don't want to like psychoanalyze Arta too much because I think he does watch this podcast. Hi, if you are watching, we really
I
appreciate it.
do think so too. Thank you, Arthur.
But like, it's one of those, I think he gets excited to the point where, and this might not even be intentional, but he's seen parts of it and it's like, he has this clear vision.
Basically filling in the gaps.
Yes, yeah.
Which maybe you can do depending on how they selected the scenes that they showed.
How much you've seen of it.
Yeah, maybe it does give you like quite a good picture.
I imagine that what he saw are the scenes that are being shown at Anime Expo right now. So to the best of my knowledge, you can attend, I think it's a special live action booth, and there is a roulette of 5 different scenes that you can like line up and see at random. I know that one of them is Nami encountering the buggy pirates. I think another one is Luffy meeting Usopp. And also, interestingly, apparently Luffy starts to hear the voice of the Going Merry, or at least senses a presence within it.
Interesting.
Quite. Oh, and Luffy versus Alvida is one of the scenes as well.
Oh, this is also, again, a bit of a red flag for me. But again, I'm a lot more skeptical and critical. I mean, that might be me being German. I think that's just the thing. Being critical and skeptical. What he writes, post number 4 out of 15. To me, this is a massive strength, referring to the simple nature of the show in post number 3. In post number 4, he goes, to me, this is a massive strength. It means that even if a scene or dialogue feels very cheesy, it works within the tone of the series and doesn't feel out of place. However, this still doesn't mean that a couple of the quips weren't a bit awkward and corny.
It worries me that Arta feels that, because that means that I'll probably feel that intensified.
The way that I feel about it is like everything he said is basically how I felt about watching the teaser. It's like, oh, it's a bit corny, but it's cute, it's forgivable, I can get over it, and it's enjoyable. It's sort of like, like, it's a bit corny, but it's cute. Like, it's not a, oh my god, this is disgusting. Like, I can't watch this.
Disgusting.
Well, people have had like very hostile reactions.
Very bad reactions to the dialogue, yes. I will say it's taken a long time to grow on me. It's not particularly comforting that after seeing all of these different parts, Arta has confirmed that, like, that dialogue is consistent, I suppose. So I think it'll be an adjustment for me personally to like really get into how this world is written.
I don't know. Again, I think I kind of feel bad because I feel like I'm almost actively trying to hype myself down in a way.
So am I. Don't feel bad. That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Because I feel like I'm searching actively for things to pick on with this show. Like, I really want it to succeed. I feel like I might just be so scared that my heart be broken. So I think I'm like artificially being like, no, don't get your expectations
To
up.
psychoanalyze you now, you're doing this because you love One Piece so much that you don't want to risk opening your heart to the world and having that love hurt. You are shutting yourself off, you're being defensive until this project proves to you that it's good enough to open your heart to it.
So basically, if Arta is your younger brother who has found love for the first time, you are a bitter person who has been
The
heartbroken.
divorcee.
Yes. It does not want to
Who's
experience it
scared to
again.
find love again.
You're carrying baggage, yeah.
Game of Thrones broke my heart. Cowboy Bebop did too. That was such a betrayal because the trailer was so good for Cowboy Bebop.
It did. And I maintain that for the most part, it was not a bad series. It was just every massive change they made to the story and the characters which sank it. Don't you thumbs down me. What I'm speaking is truth. No, we want these ones.
Liam claps himself.
Yeah. Good,
That was a good
point,
take,
Linda.
sir.
It was everything they did with like Vicious and Julia. And you know what? Ed towards the end, but like that's a whole different discussion about whether or not a character like Ed can actually exist in live action. Like Vicious to me is what tanked Cowboy Bebop. Like flipping his character from badass, amazing dude guy to whingy daddy's boy who can't do anything on his own. And then like making Julia the main villain at the end. It was just such a poorly executed change to everything that was Cowboy Bebop. The good news is, it doesn't look like there are massive changes like that to One Piece. I don't think we're gonna have any curveballs like that, where Arlong turns out to be like the whingy daddy's boy, and you know, I don't know, Captain Nezumi turns out to be the main villain of the arc.
My father will hear about this, Monkey D.
Helmeppo becomes the real villain.
Oh, I would
Yeah.
be interested in that. Who's playing Helmeppo, actually? He doesn't look like a dick without the costume on, but I can see the rich boy within. Yeah, I think he'll be a good Helmeppo.
They should have cast someone who actually has that kind of chin.
Does anyone have that kind of, you know, thick chin with so many C's?
Thick chin.
Thick chin, alpha Chad for Helmeppo.
I am wondering if they'll give Helmeppo the same hairstyle, because he's one of the wackier One Piece characters in the East Blue days with his, like, football horizontal thing.
Of course, I think Buggy was a real highlight of the trailer. I just saw the photo that they put next, like the casting photo, and he just looks like a Hugo Boss model in that shot. So, like, not exactly. I mean, they sell it in the trailer, obviously, but just seeing his photo and his face, I would not be like, oh, that's clearly Buggy.
So does Garp as well. That's what actors' headshots are, though. They're meant to be versatile so that you can plaster stuff on them.
Yeah, it's basically just model piece where they only hire like highly attractive people for this show.
Again, that's what actors' headshots are. They're like attractive,
so.
blank, imprintable, do what you will with them. Like, there is no headshot that's meant to be like deliberately ugly.
I don't know. People get typecast.
Yeah, maybe that helps you get roles.
You're not supposed to express too much emotion or anything like... You're not supposed to express too much of anything in a headshot. You're meant to be a blank canvas.
Yeah, the guy for Garb looks fucking badass.
But Garp is badass.
Two true statements.
He does not look like Garb, but I'm sure they're gonna costume that
Not yet.
together. Another thing I do want to say is the head of the Going Merry. Every time I see that gives me fucking nightmares.
It sometimes looks good. It sometimes looks terrifying, like it's about to try and eat me.
The first time I saw it on the poster, I was legitimately concerned and thought, what have they done with my Mary? But in the teaser, it looked okay.
I think, yeah, it is mostly that poster that has it at
Yeah.
a very unflattering, like
Maybe it's the
terrifying
low-angle
satanic
shot.
goat angle. yeah.
Satanic angle up there.
It
yeah.
feels like you've summoned Satan in goat form, and he's now about to consume you.
a boat.
Yes, complete with boat.
I will say, on the other hand, though, I felt like the Baratier, they found a way to upgrade and make it even cooler.
Yeah, it's very different to what I pictured.
It would be very disappointing if they didn't find a way to open that restaurant somewhere, because it looks very nice and atmospheric.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the lighting and that they kind of chose a dark, like night or I guess sunset shot.
Yeah.
Because it looks so cool with the lights and everything. And I think we see the Baratier only at daytime.
It's like actually going to a fine dining restaurant, which you would generally only do in the evenings.
No, I feel the same.
I just scrolled down and there was the Mary again. Ah! It looks like it's on fucking cocaine. Like,
The cocaine bear.
the cocaine Mary.
Cocaine Mary. Have you actually been to any of those restaurants, Manu? You know, the One Piece themed restaurants they have all over Japan?
I'm not a big theme cafe fan.
There is a Baratier one, though, where like there's a cosplaying Zeph who comes out.
Yeah, I've been to a bunch recently with Emerichu, like a friend of mine. She's like doing art YouTube, and so she's really into the theme. And she's like doing a bunch of videos collecting all the theme cafes. But it's basically you're paying a lot of money for a gamble on like sometimes fun looking and often dubiously tasting food with the anime soundtrack blasting in the background.
Speaking of going merry, I believe there is a particular dessert in the Baratier Cafe.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, that used to exist. I don't know if it was like a baked Alaska, but it was something that you had to set on fire. So they would hand you merry and actually set it on fire.
And then you stab it with your fork and you're like, die, Mary.
Which sounds tragically delicious. I would order that, absolutely.
Oh my God. I will applaud the person who came up with that, because I'm surprised they let them get through with that.
I've seen
And
a video
also,
of
I
it
love that
happening.
idea.
It's beautiful.
Play the soundtrack.
It carries so much emotion and it nourishes you, literally.
It's like if they had like a Rocinante souffle, and then when you put your fork in it, it just makes a gun effect, and like tomato sauce comes squirting out.
Why stop there? Why
Our
not have
meals are very interactive. Yeah.
Why stop there?
Ace Donuts? You know?
Ace Donuts is an idea that we've had and I think would be fantastic. Like
Oh, yeah.
Ace
Yeah.
and Katakuri donuts. And Garp. Garp is a big donut fan as well.
One of my artists made this fantastic. I have to send this to you. It's actually, so we had one for Ace 2. I don't think I have it here, but we had the same one for Demon Slayer, because Rengoku, I'm not sure if you caught, I think Sophie, you at least caught up. Like Rengoku got like
I mean, we know what happens to
donuted as well,
Rengoku.
right?
Yeah.
Which was sadly not my idea, but I'm very grateful my artist came up with the
Nice, yeah. I have a similar Ace one. There's a running gag in JoJo that people get donutted. It is like a critical mass of characters who have died in some sort of donut way. And there's this brilliant meme of a particular character punching, and they've got like 5 other characters just hanging off the arm who have been donutted. It's brilliant. I love
just
it.
like hanging there. Oh
Yeah.
my God. In other news, Liam, this might affect you more than Sophie, as the newly forged Magic the Gathering enthusiast that I've
Oh,
become.
yes. The One Ring was found, wasn't it?
Yes.
I heard about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you followed that a little bit? So in case you don't know, Sophie, there is a trading card in the set that was currently released, which was a Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering collab.
Because they're doing
And
those
for
now.
funsies, for the first time ever, they printed, like, there's always rare cards and mythic rare cards, which are even more rare. And depending how good the cards are, if they're rare and very good, they tend to be worth a lot of money. So there's
Very.
magic decks, out there that are basically the price of a small car or a big car for that. Probably. This time they printed a 1/1 special version of the One Ring card, which is like an artifact card. That is actually very strong. It's right now really good in the meta. It's been being played a lot. It's like a super busted card, but of course it's valuable because it's only been printed once, and people who already love trading cards for the collectible reasons, like now there's a card that only one person in the world can have.
So yeah, to clear it up, there are multiple copies of the One Ring, as in the card used in the game, but there's this one special One Ring that's different from all the others, which is a 1/1, and it's all written in black speech instead of English, or whatever language you're playing in. And it was recently found.
What does that mean that it was recently found?
Well, they basically printed it once and put it in collector boosters, which is like special boosters, and then the prices for those boxes went up to like $500-600.
They're still like $600, even after it having been found.
And so basically the bounty, the like people started putting bounties out, like Post Malone, I think.
So the first bounty was $100,000. That's where we started. The bounty after that almost immediately went up to $1 million.
Jesus.
And the bounty, to the latest of my knowledge, is $2.1 million or 2 million euros.
So basically, I think the 2 million, I think it was 2 million pounds, if I remember correctly, that was being
I think
put
it
out.
was euros because it was from Spain.
Basically, it was pulled, authenticated, and then sent for grading. And I think the company who did the grading themselves made a bid to buy the ring for, I think, 2 million. But then they basically shared an email address where anyone can now basically do private bidding towards that person.
So it's really interesting. What's happened is the person who cracked the One Ring then had to immediately seek legal representation, because this is a big thing when you're trying to sell an asset for millions of dollars. This is like you're in the property market sort of stuff. You've got to go through really properly legal avenues.
Probably gotta pay a bunch of tax on this too.
Oh my God. So I was reading about this, right? I know things. My God, this is exciting. The One Ring, I believe, is found in Canada. And that's very interesting because depending on how it was found, they could need to pay up to 49% tax, I believe. There is the potential for that. Yes, on an asset like this big. I also want to discuss the grading. I don't know how much either of you two know about card grading, but to me, there is absolutely no point in grading it. It's a 9. I believe it was a 9.
Literally, someone could have pooped on it. So the fact that there's only 1 out of it.
It could be a Gem Mint 10 or it could be a 1. It doesn't matter. It's going to carry the same value because there's nothing to compare it to. The fact that it's being graded is completely pointless.
But in general, what's the grading for? Is it to say that it's like in mint condition?
What shape and quality
okay, so it's the condition.
the card
It
is.
assigns a number 1 to 10. So say you've got a Charizard and I've got a Charizard and we both send them to get graded. Your Charizard comes back at a 9.5, my Charizard comes back at like a 7.5. Yours is in significantly better condition, which means it will sell for much more than my 7.5 Charizard.
Who gives these grading companies like the authority?
There's two main ones. I believe PSA is the one that most card collectors use, but there is a second one as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And honestly, realistically, I'm pretty sure that that card will end up selling for more. I mean, I'm not sure I would go that far, but I've seen people be like, yeah, there may be a $2 million bounty on it, but realistically, if you wait 2 or 3 years, it's worth 10.
I mean, Magic cards have been rapidly inflating. I believe there was an Alpha Black Lotus last year that sold for over $500,000, which is
Almost $1 million, I think, yeah.
How rare was that one?
So Black Lotus is one of the original cards that was printed. It's one of the absolute best cards in the game. Yeah, it's so underwhelming when you see it because it's like a beautiful flower that's like 0 mana, sacrifice it, you add 3 mana. Insanely good card, but it doesn't look like it is. Super valuable.
Also, you have to think about it. Like, those cards, as Liam said, are up to worth more than $500,000. And I think there is 200,000 that have been printed, roughly, over like 2 or 3 sets.
So there was, Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited Lotuses.
Yes, exactly, those 3.
But also the rest of the Power 9 within there.
Imagine 200,000 is not a lot, but they are worth that much, and then you can kind of go like a card that's actually just a 1 out of 1. I've actually the game store I go to in Tokyo actually seen someone there pulled one of the Elven rings, where there's like there's the human rings, the dwarf rings, and the Elvish rings. I think the Elvish one is 300, like there's 300 limited ones, then for the dwarf 7, and then for the men 9.
9 for the race of men.
Those go for crazy numbers too.
Above all, desire power. It's insane. I went to a game store in Parramatta that actually had a Black Lotus and most of the Power 9. I think they were missing 1 Mox. And I was just stood there in awe, looking at the case going, the amount of money that I'm looking at right now could probably retire me.
Again, and for me, that's a very recent development. I literally got into... So it's been like it's been a really fun journey to like dive into that world. But if you're someone who's not familiar with trading card games and you walk into the store where there's just like these pieces of cardboard that look nice, I think most people would go like, what the hell, if you knew that you're looking down the aisle, looking at hundreds of thousands, if not more, of dollars in worth in those.
Like, the thing about worth is interesting. Like, for some perspective, when I started collecting Magic, almost literally last century, a Black Lotus was probably going for a few $1,000s. And that blew our minds. Now, over like 2 decades, the value has skyrocketed to, Alpha Lotuses in good condition are selling for $500,000. Like, the inflation on that is insane. And I don't think it's particularly natural. There's definitely something weird going on there. And I do know of at least one YouTube channel called Alpha Investments, which I watch from time to time because he's a funny prick. He has a mission in life to take every Black Lotus off the market. So he has just stacks and stacks of Lotuses that he's collecting because he wants to...
How much has he spent for that?
Mate,
He runs a business on it though, no?
He does, but I also believe that he was a successful investment banker or someone. So he came into this with a ton of capital and he just buys shit for days. Like, not just Lotuses, like the rest of the Power 9. He buys pallets and pallets of boxes. He has like warehouses that he stores things in so they can increase in value and then resell. It's wild.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this to the audience: don't invest your hard-earned money into card games.
Or video games. Video game grading is a rort.
Or collectibles in general. If you collect
collectibles are
gold,
terrible.
that might be okay. But collectibles in general, very dangerous.
Like literal gold is good, yes. And if you do find yourself with a valuable collectible, sell it. Sell it immediately. Should we talk about NFTs and how terribly they've tanked in value?
I just wanted to mention, I did actually pull a foil One Ring.
And you got excited for a second?
Yeah, I did. Oh no, I still got excited because even the normal version, I mean the normal foiled version of the normal ring is worth like $250 at this point. Because the card not only is very sought after, but it literally broke the modern format at the moment because it's the text on it is so overpowered. So I've been heavily considering actually selling mine, but then I'm at the same time I'm like, no, it's my precious. And I'm such a big Lord of the Rings fan, I'm not about to I think sell the one I pulled.
Indestructible is interesting. I guess that makes thematic sense to a degree. One's ring, you gain protection. You gain protection from everything.
You pull one, you lose 1 life, draw 1 card, lose 2 life, draw 2 cards. It's crazy.
No, that is a game-winning card.
How much do you pay for a pack?
The Lord of the Rings packs, I think, are a bit different. I think they're more expensive than the average
so you
ones.
could only pull the 1 out of 1 ring. They were only put in collector boosters, which contain rarer cards and foiled cards and so on and so forth. I think usually for normal sets they go around maybe like $20, I want to say.
Oh, so it's like the same as like NBA cards or like any other trading card. Yeah.
For a booster pack of like 15 cards, it tends to be about $7 Australian. It might be a bit more expensive now, actually.
But for the Lord of the Rings ones, like for the expensive, the collector boosters, I think they went to up to $60-$70 a piece.
Fuck.
Which is crazy. But sorry, yeah, let's move on to NFTs, yes.
Oh yeah, so much more exciting.
Please.
So I saw that Justin Bieber, an NFT that he bought for $1.3 million, has tanked to about $50,000 in value. NFTs, they're on the way. They're out.
They still have value?
It still has some value, not many of them. I think OpenSea has now shrank to the pre-NFT boom numbers of active users on the website. I think NFTs are pretty done, and I'm quite happy with that. I think AI has become like the new fancy thing that everyone's looking at, and we've all kind of put in it. It's like the Toy Story meme. I don't want to play with you anymore, and they fall.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from the beginning, I was very careful with even crypto. I did buy a bit of crypto. I actually don't know. I'm just assuming that it's not worth anything anymore.
No, crypto is still worth things, and it has a functionality.
Yeah, but I will say crypto was also took a downturn. I'm sure maybe it's coming back, maybe not. Who knows, right? But NFTs, I feel like the concept just seemed so strange. It was so shady. The idea was basically some people realized, oh shit, I can make stuff up and pretend like it's worth a lot of money and people will fucking buy it, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
there were remember these horrendous artworks on Twitter, and then Twitter was that was either the dumbest or the most genius move in history, because either Twitter was serious about it and they were like, oh, you know what would be great if I could show off all the money I spent on the monkey in my profile picture. Either that, then that's kind of sad, or they were let those people out themselves by basically more branding themselves.
No, there was a time when every platform was seriously gearing up for NFTs. Do you remember that YouTube update announcement when they were like, yeah, so we're looking at adding in NFT functionality, which will never happen now. But it was fuck me, Susan. Of all of the things that we need looking at, you guys are spending resources on NFTs. But it had some very funny stories come out of it. Do you remember when Seth Green was producing that NFT show starring his NFT character, and his NFT got stolen?
No. That was hilarious.
So he no longer had the rights to the character of his show. That incident, I think, just proved to the entire world that this concept does not work.
I mean, it kind of felt like a big pyramid scheme, honestly. Like a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, and it did fall very quickly. I feel like out of all of the sort of schemes or big fads, I feel like NFT was one that fell a lot faster than others.
It didn't fall fast enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy that's over, I'll be honest.
So, do you feel sorry for anyone who got caught holding the bag.
Yeah, of course.
Towards the latter part of it, yeah.
Because I think there were a lot of people, and I know there's like some people being sued for this that were like, one is of course FTX, which is crypto, but also NFTs. But yeah, you had a lot of like celebrities and YouTubers promote like, I know there was a video about all the finance YouTubers who promoted FTX and stuff like that. And you go to those people for,
Financial advice, in quotation
I got
marks.
something else for everyone in the audience to write down in their Manu Wisdom notebook. Also, don't take financial advice from YouTube.
God, no. I think if anything, this has revealed the absolute rot that is finance YouTube. Because there was a time when I was like getting really interested in like investing in the stock market, and I was like, all right, let's educate myself on this. And so I fell into that finance YouTuber hole. But very quickly you start to realize, I don't know about what these guys are talking about. This is because they're always like referring you to their special course or their special thing.
It's very easy. Basically, imagine One Piece YouTubers. Imagine Liam and me and Sophie, like every week Oda breaks One Piece. Well, for some of you that might be annoying, because how can he break one? But like, it's
He
One
keeps
Piece.
doing it. He repairs it between chapters, obviously.
Yeah, when you look at finance YouTube, there's always every week someone is standing shocked in front of a burning stock market and it's like, the collapse is coming.
Or the opposite, like invest now. We found the next big thing.
Yeah. Buy my course so you don't lose money.
Unlike talking about fictional pirates, that is legitimately dangerous because there are people watching that with real money who are going to...
who are willing to invest it, yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
bigger problem is when people have it with like no real money and they're investing what they don't have. And I think that was really
Even worse.
like what happened towards the end of the NFT craze was that a lot of like people with not that much money just see that this is getting like hyped, invest money that they really don't have.
Maybe I
Crypto
can,
as
maybe
well.
I
Yeah.
can finally make some money for myself. Yeah.
That's what happened to Boogie2988, I believe, if either of you are familiar with him. Big, both literally and figuratively, YouTuber from the day. He used to be absolutely massive, one of the most subscribed channels, and he's had a very tragic downfall where he invested all of his savings into crypto, into Ethereum, I believe, which at one stage went up, and he started bragging excessively on Twitter. And then eventually Ethereum came right back down and he lost pretty much everything, along with some bad investments in some other coins. 2 lessons there. 1, be aware of crypto. 2, don't brag about your money on Twiter.
But moving the
that's
topic
very good
along to
advice.
smart investments, we're going to say a thank you to our member.
Today's sponsor is...
Yeah.
oh shit, Ethereum.
FTX. Yeah. Oh, oops.
Can we just cut the last 5 minutes of that conversation? Yeah.
But if we do actually want to say thank you to Funky Monk, thank you for
Funky
being a
Monk.
member.
Thank you for
This
sponsoring
is
us.
good investment.
Very
Good
good
investment
investment.
into the blue
An
banana.
investment in your entertainment. Banana coin.
Banana
Yes,
coin.
Nana coin.
Blue
Anyways,
coin.
yeah, we really appreciate you tuning in today as well. Any final words from any of you?
Floor.
Ceiling.
Les, I thought you said flaw. Oh, okay.
I thought you said like floor.
Sophie is correct. I said floor. That's my final word. Floor.
Les.
Ending. Flawless ending.